I hire someone as a business owner, like if I hire a video production company and I don't get pushed, I feel like that's a little bit like, I don't know.
It doesn't come quick, but the more content we do, the more like the faster it will come, because let's say one video pops off. Now they have, if we had been doing it for 2 months, now they have 2 months worth of content. So now people can binge your content. Just in that weekend alone, it was about like a little over 100K in views that accumulated from all those videos. So I was like, yeah, no, that's a super cool kind of number.
You're like, my content rocks.
Isaac Martinez
is in the building, aka Edits with Isaac is here, and we're all again in the film or production industry of some sort where we work with a lot of clientele. But Isaac, we've known each other for a long time, since 2020. Yeah, I would say
2020 at a real estate house. You remember where it was, dude? I still remember the day like it was yesterday, dude. When I first met you, it's crazy.
It was in Chandler, right?
In Scottsdale. Remember we met up with that one guy, his name was Patrick, that older guy, and we kind of like toured that one house.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Yeah, toured there, and then I remember that house that they were flipping. It was in Scottsdale, right? Yeah, that's their house.
Yeah, it's been 4 years now.
Yeah. So Isaac, what kind of stuff do you produce? Because I know you told me you did some in fashion, you did some here and there. So what's like kind of your expertise, just for the audience to know? I know you've been on this podcast like a while back, but just kind of a refresher on your background, your expertise.
Yeah, so I mean my regular day-to-day work is I make content for small businesses or like local entrepreneurs. So I've been doing that for the past 4 years. Since 2019 I got into my first real estate job. So I was just making kind of content for a lot of real estate people, giving like valuable information. So just from doing that, I ended up getting a lot of referrals and clients from other people in the fashion or in the real estate industry. Yep. And then just through that, I ended up meeting one guy. He was working with Brent Daniels, and then he was in the fashion industry. So at this time, I had only been doing real estate stuff, kind of just like those kind of videos. So then when I met him, he introduced me into like the fashion industry. And then that's where I kind of started getting a lot more clients in like the entertainment space, doing events, festivals. So my regular day-to-day work is just content for businesses, but like my freelancing work and like the other part of it is like the fashion shows, concerts, events, stuff like that. So I'm kind of like all over the place right now.
Cool. And is it just like, what kind of guy, is it like that you like growing like people's image and the fashion industry? Like, what about the industries that you're in do you love? Like, because you know, businesses, right? You're growing, you're helping them grow through marketing, your video marketing. So what about that is like intriguing to you?
I mean, so for the content business, is just like helping the business get bigger. Like, because the way I always thought about it is like, if I can make videos to get this brand big or get this company big, that's only going to make just my name better, just my content just going to look better. So for business wise, like I always just try to make the best videos, so then their clients can like gain more, I can gain more. So that, and then in the fashion space and like those types of videos, I always just like doing, since I was doing YouTube videos, I always just like doing the best type of videos, something that is just super creative, something where I can just put my own clips together and like put a montage together. So like I've been doing montages since like Call of Duty days. So I still kind of call it that. I just make montages of like cool clips, and that's what really kind of intrigues me, just like the creativity of like just being able to film kind of really cool events and put a video together that really kind of gets people's like eyeballs on it. So,
Oh yeah. Like the storytelling.
Yeah. Big in that.
But also it's like, you know, for that, it's like more of, you're right, like getting people's eyeballs on it, because that's really what they want at the end of the day. I think it's really important for like business owners to know. It's like, because we talk about storytelling a lot, which is important, and I think that's what you need to do. But also sometimes the goal is just to get people's eyeballs on it. And like people shit talk in this industry, like, oh, you know, this video just looks cool, it doesn't really tell a story. But also you gotta understand what the objective is of the video. It all kind of ties into that. Right?
Yeah, no, for sure. And even it goes into like the actual editing of it too. Cause like with a lot of the fashion show stuff, like you always want to start it off, or the way I like to start it off is just with like probably the best part of something that happened in that event. So I put that at the beginning, and then that, since it was the best part, like it caught my attention. So when other people watch it, that'll catch their attention, and then it'll keep them watching through like the rest of it, rather than maybe starting it with like just maybe like the sign of Arizona Fashion Week or like the entrance of it. I mean, those are good to start off, but like it doesn't give that same feeling of like starting it off with something like big that kind of happened and then flowing it into the rest of the video.
So you've worked at a lot of different places like Super Bowl, you know, Arizona Fashion Week, stuff like that. Because Sean and I on this podcast, we talk a lot about like how the consistency is key and constantly pushing out high quality content. What's like kind of your method to video marketing, and what's your approach to it? I'm curious to know.
So it's been mainly just making my own content and like big on referrals. So like a lot of this just stuff that I do, like I always just try to make the best video I can and like something that I'm really proud of. So it's also just goes hand in hand with that, with like people like knowing who I am, and then they see my videos and they're like, oh, like this guy makes some really good videos, he knows what he's doing. And then that's what really gets people to like keep on telling them like, hey, Isaac's good at this. And then it's also with the content that I've been making. So like I've just been doing content for so long, so like I've just gone into the flow of like how to make content, and then people see that, and then they just know I'm a little bit more credible just because I know how to do my own content, so I can do it for other people as well.
I think that's important to mention what you just said. So you have the intention. I think it's important for business owners that may be watching this, because you want to make the best video possible for the storytelling and grabbing attention, but most importantly to get referrals based off of the body of work that you've done. But this is the emphasis point on why businesses should take the creative process seriously when it comes to investing, because if you have content that is catching attention and is telling a story, not only is going to get referral if it's a great product, if you genuinely like it, but what is that going to do for your business, your product or service, if you have something that's memorable enough for someone else to talk about after they watch it?
Yeah, like, it's always important to think about. And also, like when you're scrolling through social media and you see something you really like, pay attention to why you like it and why it grabs your attention. And also pay attention to like if you remember it the next day, right? Like even for like, it doesn't have to be videos. It could be websites, anything marketing. Pay attention to, do I remember this the next day? Because that's the most important thing, is creating something that's memorable, that resonates so much. Like there's commercials and there's videos that I still remember to this day. Like there was an Apple commercial, and I can't like tell you what it was about, but I can tell you the emotion that it gave off, and I can still remember it. And that Apple brand is still in my brain because of that commercial, right? But I don't remember really what it was about. So think about that, and think about how to create your videos in a memorable way if you're a business owner or you're in marketing. You know, I feel like that's where the main focus needs to be. Wouldn't you agree, Isaac?
Yeah, because I mean, every video has to be different. Like you have to make everything kind of stand out in its own way.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, then it goes kind of back to like how I said with the editing part of it. Because of course, like you can film one thing, but depending on how you edit it, you can make so many different videos and make a different emotion with like the sound effect, the sound design, or all that stuff. So
it's weird though, because that's a good point. It made me think of like as a director, I've been going away from, you know, like I have Tyler being behind the camera, and as a director, I get so attached to the footage on set. But when it goes to that edit, you know, it's important to detach yourself. Or if you're a solo content creator, it's even harder to do that. But it takes a new level of skill to detach yourself from the footage you capture, because you're like, oh, I took so much time to get that shot. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And then you're like, but it doesn't fit with the story. Oh, you know, like that. You just have to detach yourself from that final edit, because again, the most important thing is who is this for and how can I make it memorable? So you almost have to, detach your ego from the final edit.
Yeah, I'm in the complete opposite. It's so interesting to see the dynamics of it. Like when I go, if I'm in the position to get content anytime we've worked together. I want to get as many different angles or perspectives potentially as possible, because as we all know, the editing process is a whole nother essence to it, where it needs a whole different mentality towards it from when it was filmed to when it's actually edited. And then not to mention there's so many different styles to edit, or so many different emotions that can be evoked. You can have somebody be anxious, you can have someone be sad. But if you're listening to this is a great opportunity to think about. If you have an untold story, that this is what's left on the table. You have emotion about your business that hasn't been communicated because there is little to no presence on there. So that's, if anything, that should be something exciting to think about, where you have the ability to tell a story and invoke emotion in people, where you're so impressionable, no one can't help but to think about your business solely as opposed to your competitors, because you're telling your story and you're evoking some form of emotion. And you could go down that list. It doesn't have to just be one. It could be 25 different emotions, but that's the power of, the editing and then the filming process, and put together and constantly looking to tell your story and refine your story to some degree, because it can never be done, right? You can always tell your story in a different or better way depending on how you live.
Like whenever I make the videos, it's like I always just try to do stuff that, like, if I really, really can watch my own video over and over and over, to me, at least I really like that video, so the next person would probably do that same thing too. So I always try to film for the edit. So doing that, so then everything kind of flows and it has a good editing process. So.
What is it?
I didn't look it up.
No, that's so interesting that you say that.
So here, Isaac, I wanted to ask you this too. So your target audience is marketing executive, or is it business owners, or just marketing and business owners? Yeah,
kind of both. So it's kind of a weird mid ground, because since I have so much going on with the content for businesses, but I also have a lot with the freelancing stuff. I'm right in the middle of connecting the two and really figuring out that's why Ashley now being on the team has really helped me with coordinating the business and getting the content down, so then I don't have to worry about that. And then I can focus on just maybe the actual editing parts of that content or the event footages.
So what's kind of your perspective on this new landscape of how content creation is changing? I'm curious to get your perspective on that, because there's so many different styles out there of content creation, and things are evolving so fast, new trends emerging every single week, even every single day. Dude, what's your message to those business owners who are I have no idea what to do? Is it more of a long game to you? Do you
I mean, it's really just seeing the people who are already doing it and making it in your own way. Cause that's a really good question. Cause I've been just making content since 2015. So the way that content was made from then up until I would say 2020, way different, dude. Literally you can film whatever, and the biggest thing was just having your title. A lot of people would clickbait back in that day. So they were all I need is a really good title, and that'll get me views. And it did, but after so long, that doesn't work anymore. Now your video has there has to be a good video.
Hours,
you have to be able to keep people immersed in your video and entertained in your video. So just knowing how other people are doing it. So when I do my own content, I always just try to see what people in that industry are already doing and how they're doing their content. And then I try to just do it in my own way, or just try out something a little bit different, but I saw that angle from them and I'm let me try it this way. So I always just try to just evolve from seeing the other people and then just trying to make it different and better, but in my own way. So
yeah, I actually have a thing on that. So I agree with you. Putting your own spin on it is important. I also it's kind of a little secret that I give to people is I saw a podcast a while ago with a guy from HubSpot. He's the CMO of HubSpot, and he really said something that was interesting. And the podcast is called Marketing Against the Grain, and you guys should look it up. It's very, very good. He said that because you talk about being different from everyone else. He said that the way to do that is look at what everyone else is doing and do the complete opposite of it. So like, for example, I've told you this, Sean, but like if someone like gave an email newsletter, for example, like, and this isn't just video, this could be for anything, like email newsletter, someone has like a words on a page, or let's do websites, right? You see a website, there's a bunch of words on it. Like no one hates that more today than seeing a website with a bunch of words on it. No one reads that. So what's the complete opposite of that? It's all, maybe do an all visual website. I haven't seen that. And that would be really cool, especially like, you know, if we did something like that with no words, all visual, you know, that's how you stand out, is like, think of what everyone else is doing and do anti that, like anti what everyone else is doing.
This speaks to the emphasis of why you always have to be pushing the boundary, because you should always be pushing the boundary of how you can tell your story, because there's stuff that is a basis that will work or that's working for everybody, but there's always a way for all of us to stick out. And the best way to really plant that is what's unique to you, and speak and try to deliver a message unique to whatever is specific to your story. As far as a business goes. But you should always be pushing that boundary, because people, I'm curious if you guys get this, but I get a lot of people that come into production of some sort and they want to do it one time, or when for me, I'm always resetting the expectation that this should be an ongoing thing to some degree. Is it every month? Is it quarterly? Is it monthly? Is it daily? Realistically, it should never stop.
Well, you talk about pushing the boundaries, and I want to hear your perspective on this too, Isaac. But you talk about pushing the boundaries, and I think it's important for businesses, if they have especially a small marketing department, to outsource to people like us. Because we are okay with telling them this is how it works nowadays. We're not in the confines of a hierarchy, so we don't really care. You know, I mean, we care obviously, but you know, we're not afraid to lose our job, right? We're open to expressing our creativity when it comes to video marketing, coming up with new ideas, how the landscape is changing, telling them, hey, this is the way that the world is going. We need to push the boundaries and do it like that. Versus if you have a company and you just have one person in your marketing department that's doing the video, they're doing the advertising, they're doing the social media, they're getting overworked. They don't want to lose their job. So they're afraid to push that boundary because they're on a salary. Versus us, I feel like that's where we come in. And it's important for business owners to know that. Like, that's an option, to hire out people like us.
Hire out and then really exercise your creative muscle. Because realistically, I think the biggest thing that we have power over, that we can share light to businesses, our creative muscle of how to tell a story, even the simplest story. Like you showed me the YouTube channels that you were showing me, how they tell like the simplest story. They tell the most compelling story about the simplest things. I forget, what's the two YouTubers that you showed me before you went to Salt Lake?
Loft and Johnny. I saw his last name's super weird, but Loft and Johnny,
but that right there is what we have. We have that amongst ourselves, and we know how to do that. Just jumping into, let's say, a client meeting immediately. They might tell us a story and we're like, oh my goodness. Like Levi was talking about the other episode. He had somebody that he met at the Scar Lounge. They had a disaster, but he immediately saw the disaster opportunity to tell a story for his audience where it was a positive as opposed to just deemed as a negative.
But it's crazy because it's amazing. Like if you just sharing what you're doing and even like sharing a conversation you had with someone, it's amazing what can happen if you just share the behind the scenes, you know, what you're doing.
Exactly. That's how. So with like the current client that I'm working with right now, he's a politician. So they don't have like anything on their YouTube channel. So like what we were just talking about earlier about like people just starting up something new, like stuff that they don't really know about. I always try to push them to do YouTube. And they basically just got all their petition signings for him to have his name on the ballot. So they wanted to have like a video where they like submit the petitions and all that. And they were trying to tell me like, hey, we just want you to get some B-roll of him just walking, doing all this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I got you. Like I've done this a couple bit before. So like they didn't really know like how to, like she was just trying to tell me how to film it, like what shots to get. I'm like, like I got it. So we went through that whole thing, and like I filmed like a whole documentary type of thing, and like I got footage when we were in the car, and like that's where I had him really talking about his emotions, how he's feeling about submitting these petitions, like when he started, and like I made like a full-on documentary on that, and they really loved it. And out of that one documentary, I made 3 other completely different snippets, from when he was like talking in the car to when he just basically just walked in with just like music over it. Nice. So like they didn't really see the vision at first when I first walked in there and like started filming it. But then after I got it all done, like they were like, dude, like that was like really good how you were able to tell that story about him and repurpose all the content.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think like I was going back to like pushing, like the fact that you push them. If I was a business owner, I wouldn't hire anyone who didn't push me, I feel like. Because if someone's like, yeah, I'll do what your vision is, I'll just execute your vision, and they don't push me, I feel like that person just wants my business. Versus if I hire someone as a business owner, like if I hire a video production company and I don't get pushed, I feel like that's a little bit like, I don't know.
I definitely think that's a borderline. I would put that in the bucket of a flag to be cautious about. Like if you're gonna hire somebody,
right,
you definitely want, if you're not hesitant or have some form of like uncertainty of what they want you to do or where they see the vision for you to go, then what are you paying for at the end of the day? Because you could buy, like there's different levels that you need to really realize. Like there are times where you need to pay somebody to push you. And that's where I think we all fall in that category, because there are people that just, what do you want me to film? All right, I'll film it. And they don't really expand out of that, or they don't even necessarily know how to do it. Yeah. And that's where you have to really do your due diligence, where you watch podcasts like this, you watch all 20 episodes, and you kind of get details of the editors.
Or like, reviews even.
Reviews, the examples of content, or you hear about us pushing the boundary. And realistically, it should be the standard. Like, not everybody should do a podcast, but at some point, I need to have context of how you work before I work with you.
Right. Yeah.
Do you have to do a podcast every week like we've been basically doing, or at least a couple times a month? Yeah. No, but should you have somewhere where people can kind of get an idea of how your mind works so you can help the consumer, just like how we want to help the consumer? We need to help them figure out why they should work with, who they should work with, and who's the best fit, or who's going to push them. Because a lot of people don't know, or they don't necessarily know how to have it.
I remember when I first started, like I was accepting jobs that like I didn't honestly know fully how to do, and that were out of my comfort zone, you know. Now I get a job, I'm like, okay, like I'm confident now. But yeah, like looking back, I when I was just solo, I barely had any like camera gear. I'm like, fuck, like, how am I going to execute this?
Does your production go precisely? Because I know you have a lot of pre-planning, which I think we all do to an extent. But how congruent are your pre-plannings of production versus actually on site of the production? How much changes for you, would you say?
So yeah, that's a great question. There's not a lot that changes. I think that I grew up again in the family with the agency, and I learned that being over prepared is super important. Yeah. So before we get on set, we know exactly what scenes we're going to film. We know exactly where, because we do a location scout beforehand. We storyboard it all out. We have shot lists. We know what frames per second we're shooting. Everything, we have it all detailed out. Because I think that if you are over prepared, then you feel more confident going on set, and you can actually focus on what you need to focus on. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So if you're winging it, then you are on set and you're focused on, oh crap, like how's this day gonna go, or what are we gonna shoot next? Versus if I have everything planned out and everyone's on the same page, we had a pre-production meeting, we have the call sheet ready, everyone knows where they need to be, the schedule. I can focus on what I need to focus on as a director, and that is making sure the scenes are executed and my vision is executed, and making sure the actors are doing what they need to do, versus thinking about how the day is gonna go. Right. And I think that's a super important thing. If you're hiring a video production company, like making sure that they are really well planned out is very important. I mean, Isaac, I know you're big on shot lists and stuff like that, right? Because I've heard your stuff. So you want to speak to that, or?
Oh, yeah. So I mean,
well, you do like events, so it's kind of different, I guess, right?
It kind of like helps hand in hand a little bit because like at least events are very choreographed too. So like all I really have to do is just see where I should be standing, like where I think the best kind of shots are. So that also kind of just helps me with like just the content agency, just because like I just get a little bit different, unique type of shots. Cause I'm like, this looked pretty cool in the fashion stuff. Let me just give it a shot here. And then, like you said, if it doesn't work for the edit, then I'm just like, whatever. It's just another piece of footage.
I think that's the interesting part because we get into the duality of it. Because for you, when you gave the preparation of everything as far as for your shoots, everything is more so planned, and you mentioned actors as far as everything pre-planned, and then on the duality of, in this case of doing events, it's like capturing what's currently happening, like what's live happening. It's not necessarily an act, it's more so capturing what's happening. Like you didn't tell Young Gravy yesterday to, hey,
I need you to go here, go here,
go here. He's gonna look at you like, what?
Yeah. No, I just like follow just where I think I should be and where like I think I should have the camera pointed. But it goes like my pre-planning is like going to the place before it actually starts, so I can check out the location, see where like is the good spots to stand. That's kind of like, at least for events, that's my pre-planning. And then for like the content agency, like most of the time we're in like a stationary spot where everything's about the same. So then it's just like just going in there, making sure everything's in place.
We got to create categories because that's interesting because it's like pre-planning, production, actors, and then we have
events,
capturing live events of stuff that's happening. Because like I think there's an appropriation for both.
I love that perspective from Isaac. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, I was gonna say like that's what I like about you, Sean, is like the roadmap aspect of it. If you're hiring someone, like that's kind of our job, is to build that roadmap for you and say, hey, the first 2 months, like it's not going to be, just because you spent this much money in the first 2 months doesn't mean you're going to get your ideal result in the first 2 months. It's our job to kind of say, hey, this is how this is going to go. The first 2 months, you're not going to get your results, but look at the next few months. Look at how it's going to compound. And this is how we're going to start our strategy. And, maybe, yes, we're going to evolve, but this is, some areas that we can pivot, right? It's all about creating that roadmap and making it calculated and showing that up front. That really gets us the results. That's what I like about you, is you have that roadmap kind of written out for people, and you have like you're 2 steps ahead, dude. It's like the chess thing, right?
And you only know by having so many bad games, so you know that by not setting expectations or being inexperienced. And even think about it, even at the highest level, like even if the high production for a movie, like I was just talking about Dune, like when they started filming it, they had a budget, and then from when it premieres, they're keeping track of sales of people that go see it. And that's why you go on the news or you go on the internet and they say Dune did $20.4 million. So whether it be ticket sales for someone to view it or ticket sales for somebody to experience something as far as a service, some form or some degree, there's some metrics that people are going to pay attention to really help them decide whether we're going to do a sequel, are we going to do a third, a fourth, or fifth. Are we gonna do a spinoff based off of the feedback that you get? And the biggest currency or the attention grabber is, where people are putting their money, indirectly or directly,
Yeah, and that's like so like when a lot of people first start like doing content, that's like one thing that I always like tell them, like for their expectations, is like when we start, like it's not gonna be like 2 months or 2 weeks in or a month in and you're already going to get all these views. Like it's going to come slowly. So that's like the very first thing that I kind of tell clients now is like, especially if they're starting from ground zero, like only a couple hundred followers or maybe like 20 subscribers. It's like they kind of like always have the expectations that like they're going to start posting and they're just going to start seeing the numbers coming quick and the views come in. So like I always tell them like it doesn't come quick, but the more content we do, the more like the faster it will come, because let's say
Compounds.
one video pops off, now they have, if we had been doing it for 2 months, now they have 2 months worth of content, so now people can binge your content, people can stay on it, and like that's when they start to get to know that person that they're watching, because you have so much more rather than like if you started and you only had 3 videos and you're like, where's my stuff? It's like, well, like you don't have enough for people to actually connect with you.
You've had clients, like you were just telling us, at the first 2 weeks that you started working with them, they got like 50,000 views, right? Or the first month or whatever. I forgot what you said. But that can happen too. Like I've had that happen too, you know. But that's not guaranteed every time. And it's important for people to realize that. They're like, oh, if I'm spending money on Isaac for him to shoot like killer content for us, that means we're going to get 1 million views in the first week.
Trust me.
It's not how it works.
We want that. Trust me. If it happens, it only... Our success, your success is our success, whether it be running advertisements, whether it be a video organically blowing up. If that happened every single time, like we want to share it so we can go ahead and bring in more business. But we've done it enough to know that's not the expectation. And we say that to set proper expectations so we can put you on the path of consistent success, because it doesn't make sense to put all this effort in, put all this investment in, and then we get you to the point where you stop. Like, I don't want you to pay for something and not do anything with it, because we're a part of the process as well. We're part of it, and we want you to succeed just as much, because we have to focus, share blood, sweat, and tears to some degree, where we want to craft this thing to see it be successful. And then if you don't have somebody that has that mentality or shares that in their intent or how they operate, then that's another flag you should be looking out for, because we genuinely want you to succeed, because you succeeding makes us successful, and we love to see the client love in the end result, or the end product, and most important, the results that come with the end product. Like that makes us happy.
You're right. And also, like, I mean, Isaac knows this. He was kind of touching on this earlier, but when you are shooting videos for a client and it's really good, that reaches other people, and then, you know, it's word of mouth after that. So obviously we want to succeed too. We're going to create the best video possible for you. We want that word of mouth so we can get business. I mean, it's just as simple as that, right? And then you talk about like consistency. I think that's really important too, you know.
I've gotten a lot of feedback from people on the pod. Everyone, at least a couple times a week, where people are like, "Hey, I saw your pod. I want to talk." Or, "Hey,
I get that too, dude." Yeah, and it's like it kind of ties into working out too. Like me and you, we love working out, and it's so weird when I tell this to people, but it's really true, dude. Like, because that's why I love working out. It teaches you lessons in real life, like. On our podcasts, the more we do it, the more we grow, the more the channel grows, the more business we get. And honestly, we just did it for ourselves. And that's the same thing with working out. When I started working out, I just did it for me. Now I'm actually starting to get results from it. And
start watching the podcast. Watch the first podcast that we did. Now we got Levi.
No, do not watch it.
Do
not watch it.
He's having it flow. He's taking it from Isaac to me from here. His muscle has grown. Like I said, it's definitely noticeable, bro.
Do not watch the first podcast. I'm gonna delete that.
No,
dude.
You don't delete it because it's not relatable, bro.
Yeah, no, for real.
But you made big leaps, bro. In general,
and it's crazy, dude. And I look back at like our first podcast too, and that was like 3 months ago, and like we've evolved and changed so much. But I think you're right about that being relatable, and it's important for like content creators too to capture the authentic, like behind the scenes, and also like show your failures too, right? Like, wouldn't you say? Because people can relate to that. It's authentic. Everyone fails. No one's perfect.
Yeah.
Everyone has their fuck ups. So capture that on video, and like businesses are afraid to capture that and show that to the world, their failures, because they're afraid it makes them look bad. But really,
it helps them.
It helps them
so much. Like I really learned that, especially in real estate, because like real estate is always so up and down. So like it wasn't until like people started doing masterminds and like really talking about like what doesn't work in their business, that once they start sharing what doesn't work, like there's people that will help them that know how to solve that problem to get them through it. So like that's just huge. Just like just knowing the people that like can help you in whatever situations, and like growing your network and all that. So yeah, all that's like super important.
And my friend like Lucas, we had the podcast with yesterday, he's doing 30-day challenge, and he's making the challenge is that he has to make $100,000 in 30 days using AI. Right? He's doing like these AI workshops, and he's showing his failure. He's just putting up his phone, saying, hey, like day 9, day 10, day 11, right? But he's also like saying his failures, like today I fail at this, but he's also like highlighting his wins as well. But again, like showing those failures, and this guy he's going to get way past his goal already. It's day 11. He's already like getting past his goal, but he's just like making up front, like he's saying, I'm trying to hit this goal, and every day he's sharing his failures. He's being authentic. He's being himself. And I think that's really important for business owners to know, is that you don't have to be fake. You don't have to have this certain brand persona. And I think it's important to think about that, but also like be authentic, because people can relate to that, dude. They,
that's what people like. They like the fact that he's sharing his losses, because it's like a magnification of accountability for him. And then when people watch, it's subconsciously making them accountable to take some form of action, where that's why it's exciting. It's like, okay, Isaac or Sean or Lucas is sharing his positives and his negatives, and he's
makes you want to help
regardless. Yeah, you want to help him. Yeah. And then again, it's breeding more accountability for him and then for himself. So it's just this big ball of energy that's producing productivity out of everybody in it, the person that's filming and the people that are watching. Because after watching something like that, I want to make sure, like as soon as you said that, immediately I'm like, 30-day challenge, I need to get another one in. I don't even know what it was. You said 30-day challenge. I was like, yeah, I got to get another 30-day challenge. Because I've done one for content where I was like, I got to post every day for 30 days. And, it's something about it when you make that commitment to small commitments like that, all the way up to something that's...
It gives people a reason to watch and follow along. Because they want to see the next day and the next day. Yeah, it gives them a reason. Yeah. And, I think also like that authenticity style's coming back. And I love that Isaac is always vlogging. He has his camera out for everything. I love that, dude, because it's showing like us. It's showing the real you. And like, that's why I like podcasts too. It's an authentic, it's just us having a conversation like we would at the cigar shop or, wherever.
Yeah, being authentic is like that's what you always want to be online, because like whenever I tell clients too, like that's the questions I ask like at the beginning of every week. I'm like, how was the week? Like what happened in your week? Anything bad? Anything good? Any wins, losses? Like I always want to know all that stuff, because then that gives me ideas on like just videos that we can do with that. Because maybe if they didn't post like a story or whatever on it, because I always try to tell them too, like whatever happens, like post a story, like let people know updated like in that time. And then like when we actually go have our filming days, and that's when I let them know like what's been good, what's been bad, and then make videos out of that. Because again, it's authentic. Like if people actually say what hasn't been going wrong, they post it, and now people are like, oh, like you should try out this, you should try out that. Or like people that are correlated with them, their friends might also just want to help out. So then like it just giving your failures and your wins, like you have to have kind of both.
Now there is a line though. I want to make that clear. Like there is a line, and I think that's why it's important to hire people like us, because like I said with that story with the guy with the fire, if you tell that story in the wrong way, it can come off bad. Like it can come off bad in your brand image, which is like kind of contradictory to what I just said, but it's true. Like there's a line where you almost want to hire the professionals like us to flip that story in a good way. So like showing your failures, yes, but saying like making that into a good thing where the viewer roots for you type of thing. And it's important to know that, because I don't want people to just like, start making the brand look like shit but it's a fine line almost. I feel like I just want to say, wouldn't you agree? I mean,
yeah. Well, of course, like there's stuff that they don't want to talk about. Like, no, that's a little too deep. But like, let's say like a deal, like for real estate, like let's say a deal didn't go through and it was because some odd reason that's just like out of the ordinary. Like I'm like, dude, we should make a video out of that, because like maybe no one's really heard about that, or since it's so unique, like it'll catch attention, and like that'll just be good content to put out.
Yeah. I definitely agree. That there's definitely a fine line, and like you said, that is a perfect example of why you should hire people that are professionals, because we will be the filter for you to understand, where you should start, because that goes into the pot of pushing the boundary. We want you to push the boundary, but we need to know where the boundary is to potentially continuously edge to push more and more out of that boundary. And so you got to at least start somewhere. Nobody's telling you to share your sorrows or someone, something so extreme where it will make you irrecoverable. But that's where you would come into place of hiring professionals that have seen things that work, not work, grab people's attention. But one thing I wanted to say is this is another idea of a challenge. Like I was thinking, like if we made content for 30 days straight, share something positive, but also make the conscious effort to share something that didn't necessarily go right. Where if you could do that, like the attraction to the content, like even for myself, like I want to do something in the format, not to just make content, but I want to make content where I'm sharing a win, but sharing an adversity that is either being forged through or that already has been forged through. And I'm curious to do that because anything that we all like, some degree, there's some type of conflict that stuff that really is memorable to us. Like that you were talking about the dog food company. They share some form of adversity, but even personally for ourselves or as business owners, like we can do that where if a shoot doesn't go right, if it does or if it doesn't, sharing that commonality to make it more real for people, other humans to interact with us.
Yeah. And that's what I feel like, because since I've been making content for so long, like I'm starting to get people to be more relatable with me as I start to make content about my old content. So like one of the videos that I made was like a video that I did in 2017. I don't know if you guys saw this video, but like I basically just said like I applied at this for a videographer application, but like I was like, my camera was like not the best. It was like $150 camera. And like some of the other videos I saw were like super, super well made. But like that's just a video where it's like any other beginner that watches that, like they shouldn't be comparing themselves, or they shouldn't be like oh, like I don't want to post this video because it's not good. Like when I was making content, like I was just kind of putting out just whatever I thought was good or whatever I kind of liked, and that's just like what you kind of have to do. So then you don't like kind of compare yourself, or you don't have any second thoughts about your work.
Yeah, I think the enemy of that's the enemy of success is perfection. I think you just got to put it out and just start. Yeah. Even if it's on your phone, like my friend, he's doing that 30-day challenge on his phone. He's killing it, dude. He just started, And that's like that's the main thing is just getting going. And people are afraid. There's so many people on social media that are just commenting like BS, like, they're very judgmental, and it's kind of scary for someone who hasn't been on social media and hasn't put their face out there to just start. But again, just start and you'll get better over time. You're not going to be perfect right away, no matter how refined your script is, no matter how much experience you have in your industry. It doesn't matter because you haven't been in front of the camera yet. And by just starting, you're going to naturally get better over time.
Yeah.
Right.
Even for us, like we don't have a script, or it's not perfect of the things that we want to talk about in this podcast. And most of the time we're the ones behind the camera filming for our clients, or giving some type of a direction of what needs to be filmed. And we're leading an example for ourselves first, and then second, want to add value to show you, we practice what we preach, where we want to share the process. We want to share the positives, the negatives, the errors, the great answers and not great answers, the things that we say today that might change tomorrow. And it's not easy. It's not easy. It definitely gets easier as doing it, like we talked about earlier. Like the differences when we first jumped on the podcast, even when we first jumped on the podcast, we're night and day difference as far as our first episode to our second, all the way to, this is what, 15, 16. In the past, 3 months, 4 months. But this is something that you need to take listening to this, and you need to fall in love with the compound like Lucas is doing that 30-day challenge. Don't worry about the challenge or AI, but figure out something when it comes to video, what you're saying on video, and make a challenge to be consistent at it and be conscious of it, and then change it and transform it into something else.
Yeah, and this is proof that video marketing is not a one-time thing. You're not just going to make one commercial and get all the results. It's, like you said, a compounding effect, and creating a roadmap and evolving that roadmap over time, and creating a strategic approach to video marketing that's really going to get you the results.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I just wanted to emphasize, like, it's exciting and motivated to keep doing this because it just makes us the obvious choice. Like I have the obvious choice appointment system that I always tell clients, but this separates us more and more from those that aren't in front of the camera. And everybody doesn't have to be in front of the camera, but at the end of the day, we have more of a presence online than someone that, you know, that might have a huge influence of a company or business, and somebody's trying to decide. Like, it just helps us and it excites me to continuously to separate from those that people are trying to choose from of who they should work with, and most importantly, not work with but trust, because that's the biggest thing. Like, I want to trust somebody that I work with. I don't want to work with somebody that I don't trust.
Yeah. Well, that's what video marketing does almost, is it creates that trust. If you show up in their feed over time, you know, that you're going to become the obvious choice. Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Hell yeah.
Where you about to go? Wrap it up. Where you about to head to right after this pod?
Last day of Ostrich Festival.
Yeah.
It's been 6 days, last weekend and then now this weekend. So
Now they're from referral as well.
yeah, so it started from Scottsdale Fashion Week. So I had so much stuff from Arizona Fashion Week and from Tempe Fashion Week. So when I emailed Scottsdale Fashion Week, I didn't know that they were like an entertainment company. So I just emailed them. I was like, hey, I've done fashion shows. Like, let me film one of yours. And then they really liked it. And then they hired me for that one. And then after I filmed Scottsdale Fashion Week, they were like, oh, we really like your videos and how you do it. So then they started like hiring me for everything. So this was like the third one that I've worked. It's called SLE, Steve Levine Entertainment. Mm-hmm. So this is the third one that I've done for them. But I was mentioning to them a little bit ago, we just from everything the first weekend I made 4 different videos. Just in that weekend alone, it was about like a little over 100K in views that accumulated from all those videos. So I was like, yeah, no, that's a super cool kind of number.
You're like, my content rocks.
I'm like, let's go.
Where can people see it? Because you do content weekly and you've been doing vlogs. Well, what's your handle? Where can they find the recap of you filming us?
It's going to be on my Instagram, Isaac Martinez 11. And then I want to start doing YouTube again, like doing the long form stuff. But that one, you need a lot more time. Again, like how we were saying, content's just changed so much. So you either have to like know how the video flows, like exactly like a Casey Neistat type of thing, but like it's a little bit different now, or maybe the same. But like I want to get into like the long form to like just kind of have more to watch.
Yeah.
Same. It definitely is a different mentality. It's like, I'm real, and all of a sudden you want to do short, and I want to give it to like 2 separate people, because you could do both, but it's very time consuming for both, either or, and it's different gears.
Yeah, it's like you almost have to like focus on one or focus on the other, like 100% focus, because like everything that I do is like for clients, it gets distributed through like everywhere. Yeah. But like the main focus I always try to do is YouTube, because the longer form is where you always want to be at. So like, hey, that's how it goes. Yeah. So like right now, like I'm really doubling down on just Instagram, and it's really been doing really well as of right now. So like at some point, once I get Instagram pretty big, then that's when I'll start making the transfer to YouTube and start telling everybody, hey, my long form is over here. Yeah. So, and then, it works hand in hand with like businesses, because like since we distribute it through so much, like that's why I always tell them like YouTube is like the main spot, because all those other platforms, like you can just easily see people to go to like your YouTube or go to your long form. And then that's what really like gets people to like connect, because now they have so much content.
Yeah, Isaac. Well, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate it. You go follow Isaac Martinez 11 on Instagram. You're such a freaking good guy, man. I always love your content that you put out. It's like finally, I'm happy to have you on finally.
It's their first time meeting. It's just so funny. They've known each other. We've known each other for some time, but the first time parties have met.
Yeah, that's the power of social media. Literally, is like never actually met him up until today, but we've known each other for like a year. So it's crazy. Yeah.
All right. Well, it's good to have you on. Until next time.
Peace.